Oh, wait a minute. There you go.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Psychthoughts. As you can tell, we've got it all figured out and we've got it on lockdown. If you're joining us for the very first time, you have no idea what someone has told you to watch. If you've joined us before, we're glad you're back. I'm Derek. Joining me always is my friend and colleague. His name, Doug Hensley. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing fine, Derek. It's good to see you, buddy. Your beard's kind of growing out there.
And I'm trying a little bit. You know, I've got some good oils that I'm using. It's working pretty well. We've been busy over the past couple of weeks with everybody graduating and putting in final grades. How did that go for you?
I basically I've went to about, I think I went through 2 quarts of liquor trying to get it all done. So, but it's done and I'm glad. So actually
I'm glad it was quarts.
Actually this term was a lot more calm than usual. I mean, I usually get thousands of emails and stuff, but I only got like 2 or 3 and that was it. So.
No one's checked their grade yet.
I have.
Speaking of I have.
I had a couple people didn't even take tests. And one person I even sent an email to and go, hey, what's going on? Never heard from them.
Remember, if you're enrolled in a college course, please take your final exam. It's important. And it turns out we need you to do that. I know you may have never been told to do anything before in your life, and it's not fair that we would ask you to take a test, but you signed up. Please take the test. Speaking of people who took enough tests, Elaine.
Hi.
Today joining us, our wonderful intern. Not only is she our intern, she's now our graduated intern. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Super happy for you. Do you have any catchy or inspirational wisdom to share with the viewers today?
I survived. That's about as inspirational as it gets right now.
There you go. Which is always a good thing.
Always be famous. Not only being our intern, but being the person that graduated during
the pandemic.
2020s.
Yeah. 2020 has been interesting.
So milk that for as much as you can. You know,
I try.
When you're in school, when you go back to graduate school and they're giving you a hard time, just look at them and go, I didn't get to walk across the stage. Be kind. And they will.
Oh, yeah. And if they're not, it's because they're something phobic. And you can just start throwing them out there, and eventually you'll hit one that gets media attention, and then you'll get whatever you want. It'll be great.
Fantabulous.
Today we're going to talk about talking. Talk about talking. That sounds riveting. So let's see what we have. 10 tips to talk about anything. So this is an article that somebody found. Elaine, probably you. You do a lot of the legwork around here.
Well, it started from Doug, and he likes to pull his articles from Psychology Today. So that's where it came from.
So here we go. 10 tips of how to talk about anything to anyone. Doug, you want to kick us off here?
I can. Number 1 is listen. Listen first and talk second.
I prefer listen last, talk always. It's been really beneficial for me. What are your thoughts, Elaine?
I actually don't talk very much.
Actually, I'm going to interrupt you here so I can just go ahead and not listen. We were going to listen to what Elaine had to say, but I don't want to. What about you, Doug?
I'm sorry. I wasn't really paying attention.
I feel like I'm in the office all over again.
I'm sorry. I was playing solitary while we were doing this. Where are we at? What are we talking about? Is it time for my pet?
Why do you think it's important? Why do you think it's important to listen first? What do we think?
I really like to listen just to see what people are going to say and just where they're going to go with the conversation.
It's a true manipulator right there. I like it. Doug, what about you? Why do you think it's good to listen first?
Well, the reason I think it's good to listen first is because it gives you a chance to hear what the other person's saying But I'm kind of I like to listen to people talk because people will kind of say silly things, and I kind of hold off. You know, I've learned over my life that you can say things to people and they'll just run with it. And if you're just quiet enough, they'll tell you enough stuff that, yeah.
All of the things that we're going to talk about today come from a type of therapy called Rogerian therapy. Rogerian therapy was founded by a man named Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers is the father of counseling. I usually have a picture of him. He's like your grandfather. I know he's got butterscotch in his pocket. I know that he knows a good knock-knock joke or two, and he'll probably take you camping. Carl Rogers, man, he's everybody's grandfather. He's my grandfather. He's Doug's grandfather. He's Elaine's grandfather. He's yours, right? So he gives us this something called a person-centered approach. And this listen first was really important. His next one I like quite a bit too. Use empathic reflecting skill. Now, empathy and sympathy, those are going to be a little different. Sympathy is I feel sorry for you. And it implies that you're better than someone. For example, if you were to say, I feel so sorry for this person over here, what you're saying is, well, it's not me. So sympathy is about feeling sorry for someone, where empathy is actually feeling because they feel. Empathic reflecting skills, that next level of Rogerian communication. Say back what you've just heard in using words that are of your own. We call this a reflection of content, and it's a way to let people know that you're listening.
It also works. It works well because people think you're a great listener and they will tell you more stuff. You know, if somebody tells you, I had a bad day today, and then you go, well, it sounds like you had a bad day, they will expand upon that. I mean, it's a great technique. It's a great technique to do with just your friends.
In the counseling room, I mean, Doug and I are going to do this all the time, where we're reflecting back what someone's telling us so that they know we're tracking with them. And it sounds a little odd, but try that. Try it today with someone that you love, someone that you care about, and say, you know, if they're telling you a part of a story, and go, so what I'm hearing you say is, and just watch what happens, and it'll be pretty amazing. So we call this an empathic reflecting skill. What happens if you're wrong? If you say, I think you just said blah, 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 and they say, that's not right. That's it. That's the end of it. No big deal. Now you've clarified, you've corrected, and we can stop some miscommunication. So empathic reflecting skills. Doug?
Let's see. Turn on your nonverbal detectors. Rogers was well known for his ability to read body language. Oh, he was. He was a body language reading man.
I love body language.
It's easy to do this if you refocus your attention from how you're feeling inside to how you think the other person is feeling based on that person's nonverbal cues. And as my granny used to say, actions speak louder than words. So
yeah, nonverbals are really important in a counseling session. I mean, you can tell a lot about, are you going down the right path with someone? Are you missing the mark altogether? Is someone lying to you? Nonverbals are really important. What are some of your favorite nonverbals to pay attention to?
For me,
crossing your arms.
Crossing your arms.
I usually watching how you if you cross your arms, do you hide your face? You know, so when you ask somebody a question, they go, well, this is true. You know, I'm like, that's not true. That's a big lie. You know, I tell my students in intro, we talk about this. I said, you know, you can fake your behavior. I mean, you can say, well, you know, hey, Derrick, it's good to see you today. But if you talk to somebody that doesn't like you, you can tell, you know, they're just like, it's good to see you today. You know, so it's just great to watch that because people don't pay attention to that. They really
Absolutely.
don't. Carl, he was right about that. You need to really focus on it.
Now, do you
One
feel
thing
that?
you can do.
Do you feel
Go
like
ahead, Elaine.
macro and micro expressions also feed into that, paying attention to how people's expressions are when you talk to them?
I find that
So
if
the
you
study of micro expressions are I mean, they're really amazing because they happen at this level which we're not so aware of. They're happening at a level that's below the surface. Uh, and I had a professor who studied microaggressions, and he called himself a human lie detector in the way that he was able to do that. And it's pretty. I don't know if it was a bluff or not, but it sure made it hard to tell him something that you knew was a lie.
that sounds like a challenge to me.
What we have email for.
Yeah, let's take this a micro expression. Those nonverbal detectors, you can use that with empathic reflecting, right? It's you seem like you're tense is a good example of using nonverbal detection and empathic reflection. I'm paying attention to you, right? That's the point of communicating, no matter who you're wanting to talk to. If you're trying to buy a car for super cheap, or if you're trying to sell a car for more than it's worth, paying attention to people is really, really important. Number 4, avoid snap judgments. Doug, what do you think about that one?
I love snap judgments. That's why you moved out.
That hurts. I'm going to bring it up right here.
I know. Is it too soon?
It's too soon.
And if you're tuning in for the first time, me and Dr. Edwards used to share an office. And then he got a promotion and moved on up. And I live in a basement.
It's a nice basement.
So, I love snap judgments. I mean,
so snap judgments are natural. You know, Elaine, do you ever find yourself evaluating things that don't need evaluating?
All the time. Mm-hmm. I just, I don't think you can't help it. Something strikes you a certain way and then you kind of go with that. And then you have to back up later and go, maybe I was a little too quick to judge, but I just think we all do that.
Yeah. I like what they do. Every 4 years, this comes around with political unrest. They'll go to a college campus and they'll ask people about a policy with maybe a president that's not in favor, right? And they've done this a lot with Trump. It's been really, really funny. They'll go to a campus and they'll say, what do you think about Trump's policy about allowing the deferred action against immigrant children? And people will be like, oh, I hate it. I can't stand it. They're using a snap judgment because they're associating the policy with Trump. And they're not listening, right? They're simply just responding. Yeah, reacting with that snap judgment. And that's a natural thing to do. If there's that person in your life that you don't really like so much, it might be hard for you to see that they've done good. And that gets difficult. Doug, you look like you want to say something.
No, I was sitting here just listening to you. I was trying to think of examples where I might have had a little bit of a snap judgment. So.
But you couldn't think of a one, huh?
Well, I could think of many. I thought about you just today. I had to go pick up a prescription, and the woman was 90 years old behind plexiglass, and I have a face mask on, and I felt like while I was talking to her, I was using a normal tone, but she kept going, "What? What?" And I was like, "Doug!" Morons.
I'll resist what the pills are for.
So, yeah.
All right, number 5, Doug. All you.
Number 5 basically means it's a short way of be a detective. Know who you're talking to. Do your research ahead of time. If you're going to talk to somebody, stalk them a little bit on Facebook, see who they are, get the feel. That way you can bring up questions, like, hey, I saw your Facebook page. I, saw that you tweeted something about murder hornets. So.
Or don't mention Facebook and really freak them out like you've been stalking them all this time.
I do that. I just meet people and I instantly go, to me, it seems like your relationship is it's confusing, isn't it? It's complex, isn't it? That's what I put down.
You don't feel appreciated, do you?
Oh, let's use some more Barnum statements. You often don't enjoy change. Am I correct? Rarely do you enjoy being wrong. It's probably because you're a Sagittarius.
I'm never wrong.
In
fact, I got a poster that says I'm great.
I've read the poster. It's one of the reasons I moved out.
If it's in writing, it must be true.
But then again, I'm pretty sure you have a letter that says you're the best professor ever, Edwards.
I do. I didn't want to bring it up, but if you wanted to bring it up, that would be fine.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's all right. I've got an award from the university that says.
Here we go.
Yeah. If anybody has a tape measure, you can go ahead and send that over to Psychthoughts. This works well if you're interviewing for a job. We've got a lot of college graduates right now, some of whom may have not applied for a job yet. Don't show up to that interview without first understanding the company you're applying for. What do they do? Who founded them? Why did they why were they founded? And what are some buzzwords that they use? An excellent interview skill is to research the company you're going to apply for so that you don't sound like a total moron when you're sitting there. And be like, I can't stand widgets. And they're like, oh, well, we're actually a widget factory,
When they ask that 100% question, do you have any questions about the company? You can, actually go, well, I read online that your stock's falling. So, what's your health insurance
do you think
plan?
Do you think this is related to COVID-19? And what's your plan for rebounding?
This person knows what they're talking about. Let's hire them.
Do your research. I'm going to bring up buying a car again. With all of the online tools we have to car shop, don't go to that car dealer and not know what you should pay for that car. Know what the good price is. Again,
they're not going to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sorry, Elaine. You've already got your degree, so it's time to pull the mask off. We're ripping the Band-Aids one at a time.
I love car shopping. I use everything I know about counseling and psychology for evil. So
it's one of his favorite stories in group dynamics is to talk about car shopping.
So
car shopping's a lot of fun.
It is if you go into it with the right attitude, you can walk away at this whole deal at any moment. So I spent 2 hours at a car shopping. I spent 2 hours at a car lot, and I got ready to write them a check, and I said, well, do I get the floor mats? And they was like, no. I forget that. I'm leaving. They chased me down, gave me floor mats.
Me and my wife were at a car dealership. She wanted to buy a Jeep. This was several years ago, so like 36 cars ago, based on the rate in which my wife likes to buy cars. And we were sitting there, and she was in charge, much like my life. She was calling the shots, and the car salesman said something, and Amanda just slapped the table and said, "All right, we're done," and just stood up. And the car salesman looked at me and said, "Sir, do something." I said, "No, I'm on her side."
Do something.
Yeah. So the next morning he called and gave her everything she wanted. I mean, it works. You might have to walk away.
It does.
You might have to walk away. And number 6, don't assume people will agree with you. Research shows that many of us engage in assumed similarity bias. If you assume everyone feels as you do, it's likely you'll get started on the wrong foot and end up with your foot, in your mouth. Doug, we've got a perfect story of someone who thought that we agreed.
Y'all don't even agree with each other.
No.
What story are you thinking about?
I'm thinking of books. We had someone call on us as a book representative, and this person believed strongly that he and I felt the same about politics, about religion, and about the general movement of healthcare. And he just started going off about how dumb people were. Little did he know he was talking about me to me. Now, we never told him. right? But it was, I don't know why I like him, but I do. He's a great guy.
And the fact is that I don't know. I guess his radar was off, because sit down and just talk with you or just look at you, you pretty much know what he was saying.
I'm not a hard read.
Well, and I think that really kind of comes back to number one, when you listen and then speak instead of just talking right off the bat, because you can pick up a lot just from what people start off with saying and where they're coming from. Because if you're talking all the time, you're not going to learn anything, and you're not going to know if they agree with you or come from a different angle.
I think that you shouldn't assume when you meet people in certain situations or at certain areas and things. When there was a time that I worked for the government, and, I would be on construction sites and people would go, "You've got a degree." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm working here to make money." But it would freak them out. They go, "You're here to watch us, aren't you?" I was like, "Yes, and you're doing pitiful." And the meanest thing I ever did is I ran this organization as one group, and we did some pretty technical stuff, and we had a nuclear engineer that came on board, and she came over to talk to me one day, and she said something, and I went, "Oh, really?" And she goes, "Yes." She goes, "Do you know about interactions and all this?" And I was like, "Yeah, kind of." And she went back and told all of her colleagues that I was pretty smart for a person who had a GED, because that's what I told her. And they got tickled. They go, "He's got more degrees than you." But I got to the point where I wouldn't tell people my education, and some people who have an education would feel led to enlighten you, because they feel like if you're in this situation, you're not very smart, or you're not like this. And that's just snap judgments, So.
The need to teach people. That's a fun one, isn't it? Oh, man. All right. Number 7, Doug.
Number 7 is, when you meet somebody you have never met before, take time out and learn something from them. Because if you meet somebody new, there's something about them that you don't know, that's unique, that's really going to, you can learn from them. I'll talk to a fence post. I have talked to so many people, and I learn all sorts of different just stories. People gravitate towards me. They tell me stuff, and I really appreciate it. I really do. I think it just makes me better just to hear those things.
Yeah. Learning stuff from people is not only a good skill if you're trying to increase a relationship, it does have benefits like you're talking about. You are better for having learned from others. So that's a wonderful thing. Never take what someone has to say for granted, right? This next one I struggle with. It says stay on top of the news, right? Know some things about current events so that you can have a conversation. I don't do social media. Everybody who knows me knows that I don't do social media. Not any of it. Not on Facebook. I don't have Insta chat or Twitter. Nothing. I don't have anything. That being said, I don't know what's going around on social media right now. So sometimes that's kind of a turnoff for people when they're trying to talk to me. It's like, "Oh, did you see that thing on Facebook?" And I'm like, no, I didn't.
It's important, I'll tell you.
I do rely on people to tell me things. And Doug, on more than one occasion, has told me, "All right, this is pretty big right now." So if it doesn't come through a news app, I don't know what it is. I learned what Reddit was 2 years ago.
That's okay. So did I.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And me and Derrick work well that way, because I don't watch the news. I find it way too depressing. So I keep up with all the frivolous stuff and the social stuff, and then he'll tell me something in the world of news, and I'll be like, "Really?"
You ever watch that show, Masked Singer? Do you ever watch that?
No.
Yep.
All right. It's a fun show, right, Elaine?
Yes, it is.
Yes. I don't know any of the people ever. Like
Really?
when they take their mask off, I'm like, who is that? And they'll be like, oh, it's such and such YouTube star from.
Yeah, see,
And I'm like,
if they're doing
what?
YouTube stars, I have no clue who they are, or gamers or anything else. But most of the other people,
Nothing.
I know who they are.
I'll
Yeah, I
watch
knew.
it. I've watched the Unmasking, and I always know who it is. I'm like, oh, that's a singer from the '80s, or that's a.
No, nothing. I knew Governor Palin. That's about it.
You didn't know Brett Michaels?
No. Well, no, I know who Brett Michaels is. I can't tell you
Oh,
why
by
he's
seeing
famous.
him.
Like he's a singer, but I don't know. I don't even know who he's singing for or with.
Poison.
Okay. See, right now people are judging me on YouTube, and they're like, "This guy doesn't know anything." It's like,
Then again, it might be Poison might have been a little bit early in your time. You might have been a little young.
thanks for that. Right now they're going, she's trying to suck up to that old guy. Number 9, Doug, all you.
Number 9. I didn't know I was next. Know when not to talk.
How do you do with that one, Doug?
I did terrible. Some people don't like to have a conversation. That ain't me.
Doug
this
will,
is the truth.
will
Hey,
see
this
someone
is the truth.
in a
And
restaurant and just go see him.
the hardest thing to do is when Elaine's in the office and you're not there. She doesn't talk. She just does stuff, and it drives me crazy because I want to talk. So
He
I'm
talks
like,
to me.
Yeah. Productivity is your kryptonite.
It is.
The last one we have is don't overshare. Doug, I feel like these might be for you. I don't know where this came from.
I have
think
never told
sometimes we
all of
overshare.
my stories.
Do people ever overshare to either of you?
Doug.
Okay.
Doug overshares.
Here, I'm going to give this one piece of advice about oversharing. It's called don't ever do stranger therapy. I was on a trip one time, and I got on, and I didn't have anybody sitting. I had a stranger sitting next to me. And the conversation, we started talking just like normal. They asked me what I did, and I said, well, I'm a counselor. I work at a mental health center. And for the next 2 hours, this person just verbally threw up on me, told me every horrifying thing of their life. And I'm just like, and then they got through and they go, oh, you're so good. Thank you so much. And I'm like, seriously?
Yeah. People overshare to me a lot. And I'm not talking clinically. I don't think you can overshare in the counseling room. But it was Christmas Eve, and I was going to get ice at a gas station, right? Just something very benign. It was a Mapco gas station in Hermitage, Tennessee, if you'd like to check it out. And I went in, and I was paying for the ice, and the clerk just looked, and I said, man, I'm sorry you're working on Christmas. He goes, yeah, but it pays pretty good. What do you know about bipolar? And that's just where he started. And I was like, well,
Nothing?
North and south.
I don't know anything.
I will say my confession on a plane, when people ask me what I do just tell them I'm a teacher. I don't tell them I'm a counselor. Yeah, there's no way.
That can make for a very long flight.
Yeah. I had a plumber tell me all about his happenings, and I was like, I just really need this stink. That's really where I'm at right now. So be careful with if you don't know if you're an oversharer, find someone you trust and ask them. That's going to be important, right? People feel strange when you lay a lot on them and they didn't ask for it, right? So it might damage some relationships, and we have to be careful. Take some time to get to know someone before you overshare. And then the examples here. How would it feel if you heard someone you hardly know tell you about love affairs, medical conditions, or family disputes?
I don't know. There's nothing wrong with it. There's
I'd
nothing
say
wrong
this
with a good
person's
story
met my
about
mother.
how you had surgery one time, you know. Like, it cut me open here and it's oozing, you know.
Well, there you go. 10 tips of how to talk to anyone about anything. Use these tips. They are not natural. And I'll say that again, we aren't very good communicators naturally. If right now you're thinking to yourself, I'm a pretty good communicator, then you've either worked on it or you're lying to yourself, because this is something that we have to take time doing. Hey, don't forget to like us on this thing. You don't have to like us personally. You can just like
Subscribe.
us on this. Subscribe. That's what you're supposed to do. Share this with people you like. Share it with people you don't like. Doug and I have no problem being the fruitcake of the YouTube world. Give it as a simple gift to somebody that you just want to say, I'm thinking of you. Maybe you've got an oversharer in your life. You can share this video with them, and then it's us telling them that they're an oversharer and not you. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Psychthoughts. They'll tell me what it says. Also, you can find us on Twitter, that's PsychThoughtsR1, or Instagram, PsychThoughts2020. We really appreciate you being part of the show today. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.